In this video, I'll be turning Minecraft into World of Warcraft. WoW is full of so much nostalgia. The locations, the characters, the quests. There's no other MMORPG that's emulated it, until now. This is the best Minecraft World of Warcraft mod pack, and here's exactly how I made it. For improving the default combat system, we'll use Better Combat Rebirth to be able to customize the combat system in any way that we desire, plus having the ability to dual wield weapons, which some classes like rogues can do in WoW. You can change longer and wider attacks, random crits, change certain sounds of hits and of weapon aspects and more. Since WoW has a large emphasis upon magic, we'll also employ the Electro Blobs Wizardry mod for our magic system in our mod pack. Wizardry basically lets us use magical spells, and the great thing is its system is focused more around exploration and combat. As we find spellbooks and scrolls, visit wizards and trade with them for rare magical items, we can utilize magical spells and cast them in battle. Not to mention the fact that we can explore ancient ruins and places of old. Now, the extra spells pack and the Twilight Forest spells pack are two add-on mods for wizardry to extend the system by adding all new spells to collect, with the Twilight Forest pack adding over 30 appropriately themed spells which are designed around that specific dimension mod, with 12 unique artifacts to find, which are also items which you can seek out in the base mod. World of Warcraft has a lot of visually beautiful sets of armor in a medieval fantasy style. To emulate this, we need some armor sets. Later, we'll add in some more armor sets from some of our dimension mods that look a little more magical and fantasy-esque of later WoW armor types. But for a classic WoW look and more of a medieval theme, I'll first use the Epic Knights shields and armor pack for some nice armor, weapons and shield types to wear in our fantasy world. We also need some more variety for shield types because there's just still not enough. WoW has a lot of shields and a lot of different ones, and we also need a nice range of weapons too to match that vibe that Warcraft has, since it has a large array of weapons. Spartan shields and weapons is a perfect addition for adding all of these. So let's focus on adding even more weapons. My personal favourite pick for this, which we can't use in other versions, but since we're using 1.12.2, luckily we can use the Heroic Armory mod, which adds a series of north of 280 or more weapons from many different franchises, from Zelda to Dark Souls, RuneScape and more. These weapon styles look really cool, and there's such an immense selection to add the crazy variation that we need. For some RPG-esque weapons, I'll also use the Soulbound Weapons mod. This brings 4 new weapons. The dagger does low damage, but it's more fast-paced. The sword is a balance between both the dagger and the greatsword, which actually does slower melee damage at twice the range and at more damage than the sword. And lastly, there's also the staff, which fires out projectiles and can be found with a 10% chance in Nether Fortress chests. Now, for our map to be extremely large and immense, we'll use the open terrain generator to really expand our world's capabilities, and employ the biome bundle mod as our preset to add a series of more than 400 original biomes with up to 2,000 or more containing structures, from custom trees to caves, dungeons, rocks and villages for world diversity. With custom objects, structures, biomes and terrain levels and mob spawning rules, this is a very large main component of how our world will be experienced by the player in the gameplay segment. We need the trees in our world to be a little bit more realistic. My favourite choice for this is dynamic trees, for more aesthetic looking trees that look more natural and they're comprised of roots, trunk and branches in a multi-block tier system. I'll also use the mod to support Twilight Forest dimension trees too. Warcraft has many different towns and points of interest, so firstly I'll use Mo villages to make the NPC villages in Minecraft generate in more abundance in the in-game biomes, and more of their subvariants, just so we have more villages spawning in there. I'll also use Millénaire, so we have more realistic towns and villages to venture into across our world. These are themed across many different cultures of ancient history, each having interactable NPCs that work for the city by gathering materials, and they can also give quests and let you build up reputation with them and acquire reputation-based rewards just like you can do in World of Warcraft. WoW has a lot of dungeons, but it also has many different structures that mobs spawn in across the world. That's why I think the Battle Towers mod is a nice addition for this particular reason. So we have many different types of towers across the world where monsters will spawn at each level for us to fight and acquire loot in. Warcraft also has many different locations on its map, all littered with many different types of buildings, some abandoned and some both new and old. That's why I chose the Recurrent Complex mod for more diversity within our generated worlds. This mod adds north of over 200 different randomized structures if we didn't already have enough, including forts, shrines, inns, hidden treasure, tribal ruins, mazes, towers, meteorites, pyramids, mysteries, hideouts, and so much more that will be fun to explore and discover. And we'll also expand our world with over 155 or more small and medium-sized structures added through the Rex's additional structures mod, which will add things like different types of temples, rocks and boulders, ruined walls, tree types, altars, wells and totems. So it's safe to say that we now have enough structures to make the world completely different and unique. World of Warcraft has many different continents that can be explored through its various DLC packs, and also different dungeons and raids which can be entered within. To simulate these subcontinents and worlds, we'll add some more different dimensions that can be accessed via portals, just like the Outland can be accessed via the Dark Portal in WoW for an example. Firstly, Atom 2 is a nice dimension choice since Warcraft has so many different sandy locations, but Warcraft Cataclysm's Oldham location is what Atom 2 simulates the best here. This dimension is a desert world that has structures like pyramids within, and hostile desert mobs such as humanoids and creatures which will add more danger. The pyramids also have mummies and skeletons within them, and they can be explored and plundered for loot. The Betweenlands is also another layer to add into our pack for a dark mysterious swamp world that could be likened to Warcraft's Swamp of Sorrows location. This swampy treacherous world houses many different river monsters and druidic style enemies, and it's a spooky eerie location for us to delve into. Because we have so many mods depending on it, I'll also add the Twilight Forest, which in my opinion is one of the most well made dimensions. This isn't particularly because it emulates any type of location in World of Warcraft. In fact, it's mainly because I really like all the locations which it offers, but I also love how the boss progression system works in Twilight Forest. It actually works just like WoW's old attunement system did. This means that to advance onto the next dungeon and boss, you need to first defeat the previous boss to unlock the next in a progression stage concept. I also love the look of the Erebus dimension. This mod really reminds me of Silithus in WoW, a land of insects, a theme which I think is really similar here. This world is full of everything creepy crawlies. It's all about survivability as you face off against tough mobs, everything from bushy tarantulas and spiders to wasps and hornets, scarab beetles and more. To integrate into our gameplay for a questing system for basic interaction and for populating our pre-built maps, custom NPCs is really going to be at the core of this mod pack to make it feel less lonely in terms of humanoid population. This will let us add custom skinned Warcraft themed characters that will give us quests and populate our cities and towns with to make the experience feel more believable and like an MMO and less like a lonely survival exploration game. To add species diversity and add some creatures into our biome's habitats, I'll use the legendary Mo Creatures mod. This is a perfect one because it adds literally everything and creatures of almost all different types. With over 40 new mobs, we have everything here from ostriches, foxes, lions, unicorns, tigers, bears, crocodiles, and then even the more fantasy style monsters and creatures which we'd need in a Warcraft inspired world, like shape-shifting werewolves, phantoms, wyverns and tree monsters. Animalium will also add some more hostile choices to our world, including things like piranhas, rabid wild dogs, brown bears and rats which are in abundance in World of Warcraft, especially in Stormwind stockades. These are just so we have some more non-neutral creatures. Next up, to hit the nail on the head with fantasy monsters, Ice and Fire will be perfect here. Firstly because WoW has the whole Dragonflight theme going on, which is very fitting for its most recent expansion, and also because there's a lot of dragons in WoW. Ice and Fire will add fire, ice and lightning dragons above ground and in underground roosts which you can fight and defeat and create awesome looking armor out of. It will also add many of the mythological themed monsters to fight too, which mirror the kind of style of creatures you found in WoW. Although a little dated, Warcraft has some pretty nice looking models and animations in its later content, so we'll use Mobenz here to improve the Minecraft player model and its animations by making them appear more realistic and varied and more fluid, meaning that many of the different actions, attacks and tasks that we perform in game will look different in a much better way. World of Warcraft also has a thing called transmutation, in which you can make your current gear appear like a different set of armor without changing it and without affecting its stats, only converting the appearance. For an example, the mod Cosmetic Armor Reworked achieves a similar thing by letting us wear, for an example, netherite armor, but visually appear to be wearing diamond gear, for an example. Let's also improve tooltips. Since WoW shows our armor or tools durability, we'll add that with the durability tooltip mod, and we'll also improve existing tooltips in game via the legendary tooltips mod to make everything more epic in our inventory. This gives a fancy looking border around our item's description when we hover over them and offers a color based title upon its quality. Enchantment descriptions will also let us see what enchantments in game actually do. Since WoW lets enchanters put enchants on different weapons, Minecraft system does that perfectly, so we won't really change that. but using this mod we can see what we're actually doing. Now we need to change the visual interface to make it seem like an RPG. I chose a different mod this time around other than the RPG HUD. This one is Ignite HUD. This is a client-side RPG HUD which makes our HUD look better by showing a better player widget more reminiscent of MMOs like WoW, displaying the clock on our HUD and adding target health bars to the mobs in range. And for navigation, I think nothing is better than Journey Map for displaying a small map widget to use when exploring and for getting around, as well as for a larger world map to see our point in the world. One of our largest content adding mods in this subsection will be Chocolate Quest Report, which adds a respectable amount of RPG themed content which mainly focuses upon brand new structures and dungeon types, from huge pirate ships and coves to airships, temples, nether dungeons and castles. This mod also adds a ton of different mobs and characters and content that generally mirrors a lot of the themes which you're looking for. Now a large component to World of Warcraft is its questing system. It's the main basis behind acquiring XP and leveling and just having something to do as you progress. Although we can offer a bare bones quest system via the NPCs which we mentioned before, we'll also add the option to use a quest book or a menu with a better questing mod to offer quests to the player in game. The Bountiful mod is also a useful one which can simulate the bounty boards in World of Warcraft, which give you quests to hunt down a rare or elite enemy in exchange for gold or rewards. Now WoW isn't strictly medieval. Not only is there themes of magic, there's also war engines and modern weapons. An example of this is goblin and gnome tinkerers and engineers making steam engines and steampunk-esque vehicles. We can achieve a similar concept by using the Vicecraft airships mod to make fully customizable airships and balloons to fly around the world within so we can cruise through the skies. As for an upgrade on villagers, we'll use the village spawn point mod to never be too far from a village, the villager names mod to make our villagers have new and unique names to distinguish them from each other, and also the villager market mod which will give us easy access to all of the surrounding villagers' trades, all from the interface of a singular block, emulating an auction house like feature such as in World of Warcraft. We'll also enhance the looting system when a mob or player dies by using RPG loot, which will draw a body down on the ground which can be accessed to view its inventory and take its stored items, also displaying a nice little loot bag icon over it just like it does in WoW. RPG parties also gives the social feeling of an MMORPG by letting players group up with friends and others, letting us see their status, and it lets them accept and leave our group, a feature useful to go into dungeons or quests with others. The UI is similar in WoW, but it's mainly inspired by Final Fantasy. Using the quality tools mod, we can also gain different qualities for our items when we pick them up or acquire them, such as certain weapons being sharper, helmets being dinted, or armor pieces offering bonuses or debuffs to the armor points they offer. We'll focus less on its leveling systems and more so on its general RPG features which it adds, but this is actually an optional mod which can be enabled or disabled when you play depending how you wish to play it, but Mine and Slash will add leveling, a new magic system, and a ton of RPG style content which makes the game feel really different to play, so this is your choice here if you want to play with it or not. World of Warcraft has had werewolves for a long time, originally in the Silverpine Forest Undead starting zone and later in Gilneas and its surrounding areas in Cataclysm as Worgans, which are also playable. Because of this, I'll use the Howling Moon mod to enable players to play as werewolves that can be transformed into and back into humans once you're infected by being attacked by one, letting you have special abilities and perks. I'll also add the Disenchanter mod in here to disenchant our items in game just like enchanters can do. Rather than instead of requiring dust or materials, it'll let us reacquire the item's enchant to reapply later. Because alchemy is a big theme in WoW, Extra Alchemy is a nice mod to expand the alchemical systems in Minecraft, mainly by adding more useful potions and by making small alterations to the brewing stand in its system. And also because there's a mount system in WoW where you can ride different creatures around, we'll try to offer something a little similar, although stripped down quite a bit. For this, we'll first use callable horses to give us a keybind to quickly call a tamed horse, and then we'll use dragon mounts too for letting us hatch, tame and then mount upon legendary dragons, which will be just like the dragons and drakes that you can ride in World of Warcraft, which is super cool in Minecraft. Of course, I failed to mention earlier that the Ice and Fire mod which we added also has a system like this, which will let us call, tame and ride legendary different types of mounts, so this also ties into our mount system to offer something as close as possible to it and add many different creatures that we can ride. Perhaps the coolest feature in relation to WoW that we can add is the nameplates through the damage indicators mod. This lets us have those silver dragon boarded unit frames that rare enemies have in Warcraft, in order to show our targeted enemy and its health value, as well as bouncing off the damage that they took from our attacks above them. For a little realism and just to make the player look a bit cooler, we'll also add back tools to show the previously equipped weapon on the player's back, which is super cool with weapons, especially great swords and legendary ones like from our heroic armory mod. Now to top things off, WoW has many different rings, trinkets and necklaces to equip for stat based bonuses. This is similar in the baubles mod, which will add trinket type items that are in the same style that will benefit the player in some way. We can also use the bountiful baubles mod on top of it for even more of these lootable items, which adds stat boosting bonuses inspired by games like Terraria. So now that we've built our brand new mod pack, it's time to get into some gameplay of it. If you like the mod pack, you can download it below from the link in the description. Make sure to like the video if you're enjoying it so far, and leave a comment which other game I should turn Minecraft into next, and also comment any mods that I should add to this mod pack in its next update. Click subscribe right now to be part of the channel before we hit 100k subs. Okay, let's get into some gameplay. For this, I'll use a series of pre-built maps by the community online, but also some generated ones using our world generator mod, open terrain generator and biome bundle, which we added in the previous section.